Good afternoon, everyone. Hello, and welcome to this masterclass in geodesign in geoprocessing, facing the challenges of global climate change. I'm Mona Lisa, I'm architect and institutional manager here in Ziggurat, and I will guide you through this session. So in this session, we will explore the crucial role of geodesign. We will delve into key aspects, including the production and management of geospatial information, spatial analysis, supported by geoinformation technologies, and the integration of geodesign in propositional stages of planning and territorial management. Today, we will have with us Ana Clara Moura. Hello, Ana.
Hello.
She's architect and hold a PhD in geography in GIS from UFRJ, and she's also a professor at UFMG, specializing in urban planning and geosciences. With extensive experience, she coordinates and research groups, and she has received prestigious awards for her contributions in geoprocessing. So thank you, Ana. Thank you, everyone. If you want to share with us your script, please, and the stage is all yours.
Hello, everybody.
Oh, sorry.
Okay. So I will share my screen. I believe you are seeing my PowerPoint now.
Yeah.
And I'll put it bigger. As Mona Lisa introduced me, I'm Professor Ana Clara. I teach in the Federal University of Minas Gerais, Brazil, but I also teach in the University of Bologna in Italy. This October, I'll be there in Europe. And if you are around there, you can follow 2 case studies that we are going to conduct there. One about Venice and another one about Emilia-Romagna in the center of Italy. But today I want to introduce you geodesign. That's a very new issue, a very new research that we are developing in the world. To start telling about what it is, I would like I'm just taking my picture out of here because it's in the middle of my slides. Is it okay for you, Mona Lisa?
Yeah, it's everything good.
Okay, because my picture was exactly in the middle of the slide. Okay, so first of all, it's important to talk about geodesign as evolution of geographic information system. We that work with geospatial technologies, we are still working with data. We are still producing data. But these data are not desktop anymore, are not in our computers, but they are in the web. So we are talking about SDI, spatial data information. We also work with analysis, producing diagnosis and prognosis of case studies. And then we talk about spatial analysis models. We also work with predictive models, telling about future scenarios. It's what we call if-then. And geodesign arrives as a propositional model to co-creation, to create ideas together, to be a propositional step of the process. When we talk about spatial data infrastructure, the distribution of data, I know that you there in Europe have a very good law about it, and all the regions and all the places have special data distributed in the web. But in Brazil, it's still a challenge for us, but it's a first step to work with geoprocessing. But we also work with spatial analysis models to produce diagnosis and prognosis. In this example, I am showing you a diagnosis about what we call wilderness place for birds and animals in a city. And it's a diagnosis of the place. But when we talk about prognosis, we can tell about vulnerability and potentialities of the area. To work with geoprocessing, we need to follow all these steps of spatial analysis models. But we also like to work with predictive models. What it is? To tell about the future. Here in the case study, I'm talking about Brazil, and I'm talking about a very good collection of data that we have that's from Map Biomas, ONG. And I took many dates from my case study and simulated how it's going to be the future of this place if we don't plan. When I do geodesign workshops, generally I produce this kind of data to make people understand that we must plan. Because if we don't plan, our future can be not so good, mainly with the challenges of global climate change. And then we arrive to geodesign. That's the propositional model. What it is, to co-create together. In this slide, you are seeing the example of Florianópolis Island in the south of Brazil, in which I gave support to the people from the State University of the place. And they are creating a master plan to the island, considering the challenges of global climate change. And in the other figure, you're seeing Faenza case study in the center of Emilia-Romagna, in the center of Italy. And we are also creating ideas, co-creating ideas to the future of the place. So the difference of geodesign to the other technologies is that it's a propositional model to co-create ideas. But this propositional model must be based on an SDI. If I don't have an SDI, I'll have to produce a lot of data. I'll have to work a lot before organizing a workshop. So when I decided about the title of this presentation, I decided to talk about geoprocessing and geodesign, because you need some knowledge on geoprocessing to organize and to produce a meeting about geodesign. So what is geodesign as a concept? Geo, Earth, design project. So it's to design for and with the landscape, the territory, and the geography. I really like the term territory because it tells about people, place, complexity, and challenges. So when we are doing geodesign, the planners may act as decoders of collective ills and values. They are not authors of an idea, but they must be good listeners about what people like, what people need, what people want about their place. And it's totally based on geoinformation technologies and spatial data, geospatial data. And it aims to carry out a process to support opinion making, but sometimes you can arrive to a result that's decision making. For example, if I do a workshop to construct a master plan to a city, I will arrive to decision making. But sometimes it may happen that I don't arrive to a very good result at the end of the workshop, but it's also a result because people go out of the workshop understanding what is co-creation, what is participation, what is to analyze a place and propose future ideas to this place. So opinion making is also very important, and this is what we call transformative learning. When I started to study geodesign, I did a very strong bibliographic review to understand the place of the term in comparison to other bibliography that we have. And in the beginning, I thought geodesign was very similar to what they call critical GIS, participatory GIS, collaborative GIS, and community integrated GIS. But at a certain point, I understood that geodesign is different, because these tools and this process that they were writing about, they are more based on VGI, volunteer geographic information. And geodesign goes further. It is a support of geotechnologies or technologies of geoinformation to construct together based on geocollaboration and with and for geography and territory. How do I organize a geodesign meeting, a geodesign workshop? First of all, I must understand my problem. And according to it, I define the systems. So in this example, I'm telling you that I'm going to talk with people of the place, with technicians, and with representation of society. I'm going to talk about green areas, agriculture, public services, culture and tourism, housing, commerce, transport, energy, industry, and water. And then I define the actors that are going to be invited to my meeting. I can invite different sectors of society, what I call actors or teams. And then I construct a framework that's going to be, how will I work with these people? Which are the steps that I'm going to follow? This is a very important point of the workshop because I must define everything before starting. Because if I don't do this, I lose time and it can arrive to a very bad result. So defining these actors, I can work with sectors of the society, actors of the society. For example, I can invite people of the place, the housing sector, the mining and industry, culture and tourism, entrepreneurs, environmentalists, these people, a group of representatives of society, and work with them co-creating ideas to the place. But I can think about time. I will plan for this year. I will plan for the climate agreement to 2050. I will plan for the sustainable development 2030. And I will plan for a scenario of contraction, of expansion. Or I can plan a schedule in which I will follow the tripod of sustainability. I will plan thinking about environment, economic, and social issues. And I can ask people to work as traditional or trend, working as they are accustomed to do, working as they are work daily, or I can ask them to be very innovative and change and forget about everything and create new ideas to create a situation in which we can check our values and our proposals. And the thing can arrive to a very complex program because there is also something more. I can divide my territory, my area in parts. For example, my main case study in Brazil is a very large area where we have mining activity that's called Iron Quadrangle. And when I invite people to take part of the meetings, generally they say to me, I don't know all the place. I know part of the place. So I can organize the workshop so that I will have representatives from each part of the territory to plan together and to negotiate together. Here I'm presenting some experience that I have, some that I like to present. The number one is a case study with the municipality, the public municipality of Belo Horizonte, my place, my city, in which I had to prove to a very large group of technicians, 60 technicians, that geodesign is a very good method to be used in urban planning. So it was a challenge to work with very capable people, experts in the thematic of urban planning in the very different axes. And I worked with them and I divided them in two groups as they're very numerous, 60 people. So I worked with half of them in one day and half of them in another day. And at the end, we compared the designs, the results, the proposals, and they were very similar. It means that we have a defensible and reproducible criteria when we work with geodesign. In number two, I'm working with kids. It was a case study in a slum, a favela in my city, in which there was a landslide with a death, and I had to convince people to plan their territory and to accept that some of them were going to be translated to another place because of the risks. But the adults, people from the place, they didn't accept to talk because they didn't want to change their lives. So I invited the kids, their kids. I did a workshop with them, and the kids had the goal to tell the parents what happened in the workshop and what is a risk, what is a landslide risk. In number three, I'm working with academics, with technicians from city, region, state, and federal institutions to make them understand what is geodesign and make them plan together. And in the fourth, it's also another case that I like a lot. I work in a favela where 5,000 people live. And as they are digital illiterate people from the place, I trained the young people so that they could be my mouses, they could be my support during the workshop, young people from the community. So important values that we practice in geodesign. We want to do co-design. What is a co-design? A co-creation of alternative futures. What is a co-creation? to share decisions. What is a shared decision? What do I have to do a shared decision? I need a common language. What is a common language? To search for protocols. What are protocols? I need protocols to the interface between people and to the interface between machines. What is an interface between people? I have a reality, I have a digital representation, maps, and I have to understand the mind maps so that my digital representation really represents the reality. So I work a lot with geovisualization tools. And I need an interface between machines that's called interoperability. No matter the platform, the tools that you use, we must talk. And this is the base for interoperability. So these are the values that we practice. When we work with territorial planning, I search for defensible and reproducible criteria. I must face scalability because I come from a continental place, a continental country. So I must think about scalability. But I must also think about adaptability because I come from a continental country with many differences in many senses. So with this, I'm talking about planning and projects by co-creation. In geospatial technologies, we search for interoperability. I invest a lot in geovisualization. My tools are based on OGC, Open Geospatial Consortium, and we use the web-based applications that are Web Map Service, Web Feature Service, and Web Processing Service to do diagnostic, prognostic, predictive, and propositional studies, mainly propositional studies. And then we created a web-based platform that's called Geodesign Bra. It's the first, and until today, the only Brazilian platform for geodesign. It's based on SDI. It was born from an SDI platform, and then we adapted it to the use of geodesign. So we are proposing a framework that are the steps that we work with when we are doing geodesign workshops. In the first step, I do reading enrichment. What is? To make people understand the data about the place. And it's called reading enrichment because I understand the place through the data, but I can also contribute with data that are not in the platform. So it's called reading enrichment. In the second step, I do dialogues of creation of ideas and co-creation. In the third step, I do comments about these ideas, about the creation of ideas, and suggestions. In the fourth step, I measure if the people that are taking part in the workshop, if the designs achieved the goals. Then I do the votings, if I like or don't like the ideas, and we do the negotiation of adjustments and arrive to a result. We'll see all of these steps in figures now. The first one, the reading enrichment. You're seeing people marking points with information that we didn't have. We produced a very good collection of data, but even though we did all these efforts, there are information that we didn't have that people contributed during the workshop. And here we are constructing the ideas. Observe that the idea has a title and a description. Here we are commenting the idea, criticizing, presenting suggestions. And then we vote if we like or don't like the idea. We measure if we achieved the goal. For example, in this example, we had the goal to improve the area to improve the green areas in 30%. And we are also able to count the number of trees that we are able to put in these areas and the quantity of carbon sequestration above ground and below ground that we are producing, and so on. So what it is, why geodesign is a way to plan for global climate change? Because we distribute responsibilities, what it is. If you remember these slides about Sherry Ernsten that presented the stair of participation, we understand that many or in the majority of the situations of participation in the world, people are not exactly participation. People are not exactly in the higher steps that are called citizen control and real participation. And geodesign is a way to arrive there. Why it is? When we propose ideas, we must think about design and policies. Design are interventions that are chirurgical intervention. What it is? I plan to construct a bridge. It's a chirurgical intervention. It costs a lot. It will be constructed very rapidly, as much as I can. And we will see the results of it very rapidly. But it's very expensive. So I cannot do designs all over the place. And sometimes I work with policies in which I propose a general way of using the territory, and I expect people to answer to these policies. And I will see the result in spatial and time, large scale, in time. But there are some important things that I must provide before the workshop so that I have a qualified participation. What are? First of all, present to the people that are going to take part of the workshop the goals and assumptions about the place. What are the main characteristics, vulnerabilities, and potentialities of the place? What do I expect from the workshop? So I must present a way of measuring goals and to present assumptions to them. If I don't do this, I will have a very simplified and non-qualified participation. I must also share examples of best practice and actions, because I can arrive to a point that I ask someone, that I ask to the participants, what do you want to your place? And the person asks in a very simple way, I need a bus stop. And I say, we are doing something much higher than this, much bigger, much stronger, much more qualified. You don't need just a bus stop. But the person is not able to answer because she or he doesn't know the best practice and actions. So I must provide a collection of examples so that people will feel comfort, at least in the beginning of the workshop. And as I said in the beginning, sometimes the result of the workshop is a support to decision-making. It's a master plan that I can start tomorrow to discuss with the technicians, to develop it, and to install it in the territory. But it's not a problem if I arrive to opinion making, because everybody that takes part in a workshop goes out of it thinking differently, understanding what is participation, understanding what is to read a territory, to understand data, to understand and use geospatial data. So it's a transformative learning. And this is something that I'm learning a lot, mainly in areas of social vulnerability in Brazil. I had already conducted more than 80 geodesign workshops all over the world, but the ones that I like most are the ones with social vulnerability people, social vulnerability areas, in which I have to use all my creativity and all my capacity of reading people, understanding people. There are some principles that I organized in a list that must be considered when doing a geodesign workshop. Let's go to each of it very rapidly. First of all, to present the participant a robust characterization of the study area. Here, I'm presenting Faenza case study, and before the workshop, I produced a lot of data about the place so that people could understand the problems. And we decided to do Faenza because they had a problem of flood in 2033. To listen to the participants so that he or she can complement the set of information provided in the form of reading enrichment. That's what I had presented to you, because there are some data that are not official data, that people know about the place, and they can contribute with me. In some situations, I use a VGI, that's a volunteer geographic information, in which people can contribute with me using their mobiles. To present the objective of the workshop based on the discussion and delineation of local problems. For example, in the case study of Faenza, I know that it's a place that produces fruits and ceramics. And I studied the case study to understand the flood, when it happened, in the last 100 years, what happened in the place. So I understood the place, and then I proposed to people that we're going to talk about vegetation, water, and socioeconomic issues, and to construct a final design in the place. To make the participant aware of the risks of not planning or not acting, discussing the possibility of future scenarios, possible future scenarios. This is a case study close to my place. It's called the neighborhood of Eldorado, Contagem. And it's an area of flood. Every year they have problems of flood. And the first thing that we did was a model of surface model presenting the height of the buildings and the topography, so that we could model the rivers, the basin. And then we produced the rivers without the buildings and with the buildings, so that people could understand the problem of interruption of the continuity of the rivers and to understand the problems of the flood. So I prepared people to be critic, to have criticism about the problem of the place. In the case study of Iron Quadrangle, that's my main case study that I developed here in Brazil, I simulated it to people how it's going to be the scenario of 2050 if we don't plan. So before the workshop, before proposing, they had this alert so that they were more stimulated to be part of the meeting. To present a collection of best practice, because sometimes people just don't know what to say. So I organize a list of best practice so that people can use it in the very beginning of the workshop if they don't have initial ideas. To present mechanisms of measuring performances and meeting the goals during the workshop, which serve as guides and reference for the participants. For example, in this case study, we wanted to measure the contribution to the SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals. So people were proposing ideas, and these ideas were associated to the Sustainable Development Goals. And I was dynamically presenting to them an histogram to tell them the distribution of the Sustainable Development Goals and to tell them that they could take in consideration some of the goals that they were not planning to. To support doubts, legal and technical questions about the proposals as basis for choices and adjustments of ideas. Here you're seeing a case study in Islam, in which we had representatives from many different sectors of the society, but I invited very capable technicians with expertise in some issues that we are going to face. So in a moment of the workshop, when people had doubts about laws, technical limitations, and so on, these technicians took the word to explain the problem. And make stage adjustments at any time, because I cannot lose any participant. So if I observe that the flux is not working, that people are not paying attention to all the steps, that people will start to do parallel talkings, that they are just being conducted and not really taking part. If I observe that it's happening, I must change my framework and interfere, because I cannot lose one participant. So the person that conducts a workshop must be aware of it and must be able to change the dynamic of the workshop while it's happening. So this is my framework that I generally use, but I have flexibility to change it. So I am arriving in the end of the presentation, and I must present to you some positive results that we had already observed in these years in which we work with Geodesign. First of all, our web platform that's called GIS Collab and Geodesign Bra is based on interoperability, because it uses OGC, Open Geospatial Consortium. It means that I can dialogue with many tools that exist in the web, and I can use everything of them. And because of it, I cannot and I don't want to ask people to adapt to my tool. I will work so that my tool will be adapted to them according to their capacity. But there are also some challenges, mainly in countries like Brazil, continental countries, that is the digital illiteracy, the technological exclusion. And to face these challenges until nowadays, what I do is to use mediators and facilitators in this step of working with people. So I thank you for the opportunity, and I put myself at your disposal to any question.
Thank you very much, Ana Clara. I think that it was a very insightful explanation about GIS, about geodesign, and about how it can influence our daily life, of course. Thank you very much. I would like to invite my colleague Dimitrios to talk just a little bit about our masters in civil engineering and GIS. And I would like to invite also, if you have, it's all the participants, if you have questions, just put here in the chat that we are pleasure to answer everybody. Okay, so Dimitrios.
I believe I will interrupt my share.
No, I can't put here. There's no problem.
Okay.
Just a minute, sorry.
Thank you, Anna. Thank you, Mona Lisa. Hello, everybody. My name is Dimitrios, and I'm actually managing the International Department of Admissions here in Zigurat. Today's session masterclass was in the context of the master program that our school is offering in BIM management in civil engineering and GIS. I don't know if we can, Mona Lisa, if we could actually do a little poll between the participants that are attending to see how many of them they have a background with GIS. If they can raise hands, can we do that?
Oh, I'd like to see this.
Oh, sorry, just raise your hands. Oh, four of five and counting.
All right. So GIS is actually a tool like BIM. It's a methodology. It's a tool. We use it for geospatial analysis and also to construct the surrounding environment of projects. So in this master program, in the global BIM management, civil engineering and GIS, we actually provide with an holistic practical training on how BIM is being applied through the whole life cycle of a construction project, as well as the integration with GIS. So in the program, we go through everything, the information management, the design part, the project controls of the project, as well as the facility asset management stage, the seventh dimension of BIM, as well as the integration with GIS technology, for which we have devoted an entire block, actually, the block number 2. The program is 100% online, time flexible, interactive. The candidates who are participating, they can receive also a big collection of certificates for their participation, software certificates, memberships to international organizations, and so on. If you would like to learn more, I would be happy to help you with my team. You can scan this QR code, you can put your details, and we will contact you so we can provide you with the detailed information about the program and discuss as well how this program is going to help you in the development of your professional profile.
Thank you, Dimitrios. Thank you.
Very good, Dimitrios. Very good. It's a very important thematic, geographic information system.
Exactly. And the benefit in this program is actually that it's quite unique. There are not any master programs providing practical information of being in integration with GIS and all this applied in infrastructure projects. So I think in comparison with other programs that are providing training in GIS and BIM, we have done something innovative. We have combined the two technologies, and we're providing practical training on how this could be achieved.
Yes, I was talking with Mona Lisa before we started, and I was telling her that in Brazil, we are still not applying geographic information system in urban planning, And for me, it's something just unacceptable, because I cannot even think about planning without technologies nowadays. I just cannot
Exactly.
think. And
Yeah.
when we have geographic information system is associated with geography, with environmental analysis, geography in a general sense, and not with engineering, architecture, urban planning. So it's a very interesting proposal.
Very
Well,
well.
thank you. Thank you very much, both. Actually, we had here in the comments just participants saying that this is a lot of great material, Ana Clara, and we need to prepare a book. So I just put, I will help you, Ana Clara, I will help you to prepare something.
People, I have a lot of publication about it. To tell you the truth and to be very sincere, I'm the person that publishes the largest number of papers in geodesign in the world.
Yeah,
I
it's
was
cool.
not the first one to write about geodesign. The first one was Professor Carl Steinitz and Stephen Irving and Miller and some other important professors in the world, mainly from Harvard. But they don't publish as we do, because I'm from a new generation. And in my generation, we publish a lot. So if you do a bibliographic review, you discover that I'm the top, that I published a very large number of papers about geodesign, and all of them apply it to case studies. All of them apply, because I'm a very practical person.
Yeah, so we have here just Google Ana Clara Mourão on Google Scholar. And
Oh,
we
you
have,
open it?
yeah. And we have also, congratulations, Ana, my regards from Paris, implemented GeoBeam in Brazil's government. It is subject about, sorry, it's a question. It's not just congratulations, Ana. My regards from Paris. I implemented GeoBeam in Brazil government, and this subject about interoperability is very interesting. So can you talk a bit more about this, please? It's
Yes,
from
yes.
Michele.
There is a global agreement on OGC, Open Geospatial Consortium. It's a global agreement to which the majority of the applications that we know today decided to use a kind of a language, a protocol. Protocol is the term. To use a protocol, for example, if we are from the old times of CAD, we remember that in the beginning, there was DWG from AutoCAD, and at a certain point, new tools arrived in the market, and we had to use DXF because it's an exchange format, okay? So when we're talking about OGC, is an exchange protocol adopted to the main tools in the world that work with GIS, not only in desktop, but mainly in web GIS. For example, if you work with QGIS, you are using OGC protocol. But if you are working with some commercial tools, they are not using OGC because they don't want, they want to be more proprietor of their results. So when I programmed our platform that Geodesign BRA, we programmed it totally based on OGC, so that I can dialogue with QGIS, I can dialogue with the SDI from any place, I can have interface with anything that you do. If your data is web-based, I dialogue with you and you dialogue with me. For example, I had just finished a case study in Fortaleza, that's a city in the northeast of Brazil. And before going there, I didn't know that they had a very good SDI, spatial data infrastructure. So I worked a lot, I produced a lot of data, and then I arrived there and I discovered that they had a great SDI, a very good SDI. What I did, I connected my platform with this SDI, and all the data that they have in the public administration came to me to be used in the workshop. So in half an hour, I prepare a workshop. But this was possible because they used the protocol OGC. It's a global agreement, like a common language that we use. And when we use OGC, we can consume data as web map service, what it is. I connect with the data, but I'm not able to change the symbology. I'm not able to change the original data. But I can also consume the data as a web feature service. What it is, I can upload and download. I can have the data in my computer. Or I can also use the data as web processing service. What it is, dynamic cartography. Remember that I explained to you that I was drawing polygons to construct new green areas in my case study, and there was a tool calculating the increment of it, the number of trees that I am able to put in that area, the contribution in carbon credits that I was organizing. This is based on web processing services, dynamic cartography. While I'm working, it is calculating in my server. So it's a kind of a protocol, very, very powerful protocol that people are adopting all over the world.
Yeah, and just my question, I was thinking about we were talking, and this protocol is also using in Europe and Middle East and Africa and all around the world.
Over the world.
Okay.
But some tools don't adopt it. I may say it very freely here. For example, I am an ArcGIS user as a teacher. ArcGIS online doesn't allow the connections. Only with people that are of the establishment that have accounts there, that pay for the services. So it's not open. Okay, so if an enterprise decides to organize an SDI using ArcGIS protocols, it will be used just from the people of the place. And it's not, or I can see the data, I can check the data, but I'm not able to connect my tools to work together with them. Because some enterprise just prefer to work like this.
Yeah, it's not open.
It's not open.
Well, thank you very much for all this. Oh my gosh, we have more questions.
I have also a question, Mona Lisa, whenever you want to give me the time.
Yeah. We have one more. You have priority here, so go ahead.
Okay, so as also as a JS professional myself, I would like to ask you two questions. The first one, what is your opinion about the integration of BIM and GIS, and where has the technological part reached today? I mean, where are we in terms of software with that? As well as the second question would be for something completely different, like what has been your experience with GIS, the use of GIS tools in decision making, and if you can make some suggestions on that. I think the rest of the participants would like also to know.
Yeah, so it's not easy to integrate BIM with GIS. First of all, because of the scale, and due to it, it's also related to the formation of people. Geographers use GIS, architects and engineers use BIM, and we don't have people that use together BIM and GIS until today. So it's something to be constructed. When I work with GIS, what I do that's not exactly associated to BIM, but what I do that arrives closer to BIM is to do the three-dimensional representations so that people don't work with just the view of the top. And mainly with when I work with areas of social vulnerability, I need to work with three-dimensional. So what I do is a very good drone capture, and I use the drone, and with the drone, I model the 3D, and I make people understand the place using the 3D representation, but I don't arrive to BIM, because I believe this relation is to be constructed because of these two words that we have, territory and local. area. It's under construction, okay? And to use the GIS to decision making, it's my life. It's my life, because I started to work with GIS in the very beginning of it in Brazil. And I started, at that time, I used it to teach cartography and topography. And then with time, I also started to teach urban planning. And since the beginning, I'm not able to teach urban planning without using GIS. And in my case studies, even when I teach, I do real case studies. I go to the field, I work with people. So decision-making is something that I'm also facing in all of my case studies. I had said that I had already constructed more than 80 case studies of geodesign workshops. But it's also true, as I had already said, that sometimes I'm not happy with the result of a workshop, that I have critics about the quality of our zonings, of our proposals. And then it's more a construction of opinion making than of decision making. Did I answer to you, Dimitri?
I see.
Yeah.
I understand your perspective, but in terms of tools that you would be suggesting towards that and you have used in your previous work, could you give us an idea of which tools you have
Yeah. Oh, in
used
the
with the
very
better results?
beginning, as I had the conditions from the university, to do the 3D modeling and this kind of representation, I use it to study and produce parametric modeling of the territory using City Engine from Esri. But at a
You said
certain
City
point,
Engine, right? Sorry.
we just gave up with freedom, okay? Because I'm academic, I must say what happened. Because at a certain point, we could not go ahead because it's a very not interoperability tool, okay? So we studied a lot, I published a lot about parametric modeling in City Engine, and then we just gave up. And then we started to model with Grasshopper Rhino, okay? But this in architecture and urban scale. When I work with territory scale, I work with ArcGIS, all the tools, mainly spatial analysis tools. But in the last year, I start also to consider QGIS because of this consideration of OGC. I cannot forget it. And we created our platform. That's a web-based platform. That in the beginning, it used to be called Giscolab, and nowadays it's called Geodesign Bra. So we programmed it. Not me, because I'm the person that constructs the framework and the logics, but the people that work with me, mainly Christian Freitas, that it's someone that a person that I work with for many, many years.
Exactly, Anna, I agree with you. I was also was experiencing the same change from ArcGIS to QGIS, and that was mainly due to the fact that QGIS is a free tool, and a lot of collaborators could also use it easier than buying the software. But that leads to another conversation. But thank you very much for your answers.
You're welcome.
I have to say sorry for the participants, but I have to choose just one question more because we don't have more time. So we have just the last questions, which is, why do you always use 3D models versus just images of the top in relation to social vulnerability?
Okay. Remember that slide in which I was explaining that I must have interoperability between people, not only between machines, but mainly between people. What it is, I have a reality and I have maps, and maps are vised from the top. Poor people that didn't have education, that didn't have the opportunity to learn about how to use maps, generally, they don't understand maps. So I have to prepare them to be part of the workshop, to be the co-creation of the ideas. So what I do, as I explained, I do a drone capture, and then I do a 3D model. Before I bought the drone, I used to model with Grasshopper, with City Engine, but it's the three-dimensional block, okay? But with the drone, I model the reality in 3D. And I put in the web, in the Sketchfab cloud. And then I arrive in the meeting and I ask people, this is the drone of your area, know your area. And they love it, they love it. And I ask them, where is the school? And they locate it. Where is your house? They locate it. And I say, now at this point, I want you to put the school in this position, okay? And I want you to put the model in this position. So now I will present you the maps so that you understand the position of the things. And if you have any doubt during the workshop, when we are going to use the maps that are vised from the top, you go to the three-dimensional representation so that you understand your reality, our representation, and we have a common language to work with.
Well, thank you, Ana Clara. It was very insightful. I must need to tell you that I hated when I had classes of topography. If I had you as a teacher, I think that it will be change my life, because when I was studying architecture, oh, this is my nightmare: cartography, topography. So I need you as my teacher.
Wow. In the beginning, when I was a student, me too. But then I started to work with tools that make the things more funny.
Yeah. Thank you. Funny, it's always good.
Yeah.
So thank you very much again for your time. Thank you, Demetrius. And thank you, everybody which is here participating with us. And let's keep in touch. Just write you if you have.
I'm available to any of your questions if you write me, okay?
Yeah, okay. Thank
And
you.
congratulations for your course. It's a very good idea.
Thank you. Bye-bye, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye, people.